Apparently, I've been doing this all with the video turned off. So, gee, if the whole thing is off, we missed a lot. You can see here I'm breaking up this corner. See, I put in my color. Oh, this is horrible. I put in my color, but you can see that I have broken it up, because even with the difference in the shape, the value's the same, and so it still looks a little monotonous. So we just are breaking that up, and instead of blotting it, I'm just pulling it out into the adjacent area. Oh, this is terrible. See, I did all this stuff, and you can't see it. Okay. Well, you may have to guess at some of it. How about that? I'm going to put this little dark thing here, right in there. It's like I said, that's reddish. Okay, so what I have here is I have a little of that red mixture that I had. I put more of the lilac in it, and I put a little bit of phthalo green in it to get a really dark whatever. Oh, this makes me sick. I have messed up the whole video, I guess. I don't know how. I would have sworn I had that on. There. I know I turned that on. There. That's this thing. Now, even there, you can see little bits of a red tone in here. I'm going to put some of this mixture into my cobalt turquoise. Cobalt teal. As I mentioned before, which may not be on a video, Cheap Joe calls it something else. He names it after one of his artist friends. But it is cobalt teal still. Okay, so let's put a little bit of paint under this 78. And that's really, really weak. So I'd rather do too little than too much on that. And break it up. You can always come back in with a little brush and redefine a part or two if you want. There's something like that. There's a little bit more gold right up under here. Let's just take our Queen Gold mixture. Well, that's a little too strong. And it kind of fades out. I'm just going to make up some shapes here. Yeah, right there. Might try to soften an edge or two on that. Let's just add water to soften. I was going to blot it, but there. Let that do a thing like that. How about if we just drop in a little bit of red there? A little bit of some subtle areas goes a long ways. I think that looks too pink. I'm going to add a little gold to it. Have to be careful working on top of this white paint, because if you pull up this white paint, some of those things will go pink. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit more red. That is lilac. Back in here with my golds. And I think I'm going to come along this side a little bit more. Oh, well, that's a little bit loud. Okay, we'll do something like that. In fact, let's pull it up here. Let's do a little bit there. And then let's just break up some edges. This is just barely touching the surface. I mean, I'm being so gentle with it. Yeah, that's pretty nice. In fact, I'd like to see a little bit more of that somewhere else. We also have these stones. They have a lighter area in between them. And so I'm going to make some of these stones a little pavers, whatever they are, a little bit darker. Especially back in there. So far it's recording now. Okay, something like that. And then over in this corner, you don't want that corner to be too bright. Let's dull that down just a little bit. That's pretty nice. I'm thinking I want to soften that edge just barely. There's no white under this area. The other thing you could do, of course, is you could just splatter some stuff on it if you wanted. I don't know that I want to. Well, I'm thinking about it. Well, that's two, whatever. So let's just come back and splatter a little water on that. Well, I never got that one wet. Or that one. There, see those little places like that? Just don't get carried away with it. A little goes a long ways. Okay. So the next thing I got to do is, wait a minute, let's put a little bit more of this sort of tinted, at this point, tinted cobalt teal. It's got a little bit of everything in it. Let's put a little bit of that up in here. I think this needs it. And see, don't work at doing exactly what I did, because you probably don't have exactly the same base down. You know, everybody has to adjust to what they're working with to get an effect that they think is pleasing. Something that pleases you may not be the same thing as an accurate representation. We don't need an accurate representation. There's the spot right there. It's just... Okay. Well, it looks a little strong. Pull up. See, I squeeze the brush out. Pull up a little bit of color right there. Okay. This has got lumpy places in it. I don't really mind them, but I think I will still add a little bit of stuff in a couple of places. And then I've taken my brush. In fact, I'll just squeeze it out. maybe softening up some edges. That's not really going to patch, but maybe it'll do something interesting. Now, my next step is to get this dry and to also, oh, whoops, I think I want a little more color right there. Okay, my next step is to get this dry and also assess what the heck went on with my video. Because I may need to go back and explain some things. And then we're going to pull up the masking and finish it. I think this is going to look really cool. Well, I'm pretty grossed out that I did all that painting off of the video. So, let's work this area, which looked almost right when it had the PBO on it. And then I'll go back and review something about the color. Okay. So this is where we could use some of that gold. Quin gold still. Add a little more of that. There's some green down there, a little bit of red in there. I'm going to add a little bit more red, and by red, this is the lilac. So, remember, basically, we have used 3 colors. We used Quin lilac, Quin gold, and the cobalt teal. And we did different mixtures of those. There's not any place on here that's got just pure color on it. It's all variations of these mixtures of these 3. Then at the last one, I wanted really strong dark. I used my lilac, plus I used phthalo green blue shade. Okay. Now, what do we do here? Well, let's look at the photo because it's got some good clues. We don't want this to stand out too much. We've got areas that have this sort of greeny gray or turquoisey gray. And it's in some places. I'm going to make it in here. This is a little brighter, so I'm not sure how it's going to read. There's some kind of stuff going on here in this that's got that in it. I don't know if it had some kind of mosaic in it or what it was. Well, we don't care. We just want some of that effect. And this could be, this could be just discolored copper. Copper does that. Does a beautiful thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in more places than I really want it, because I'm going to come in with reds on top of some of this. And we may wind up picking up some red from the background in behind it too. Some areas are more red. In fact, right in here, see, some of this becomes very red. And you don't have to get yours just like mine. You probably don't want to get yours just like mine. So on some of these, see that bottom bar, I left it white, and on this one I had gone dark with it. It's really not important which way you did it. It's not important at all. It's all going to come together. This looks very dark on the video, like I might even come back with the Sharpie and make a couple of areas of this black again. Right there and there. So this is doing some nice things. So now let's take, I put some gold in, and I put some lilac in, but I didn't put enough lilac in. Ooh. There. That's enough lilac. So this has got to be thinner. And I thought I could just wet that and pull some of that color up, but I think I'm not going to try to do that. I'm just going to paint some more on top of it. Ooh. I think maybe we need to blot. No, I'm not losing too much of it. There was an area in here that was pretty lost too. In fact, I didn't even try to make a design in here. We could have made something up, but that's not the point. Point is that we have some lost and found edges. Okay, maybe just a bare blot there. Oh yeah, by the time that dries, this is going to show up very nicely, I think. Now, we need more gold in the mixture. And maybe I'll tell you what, I'll just take some of this gold and put it over here with a little bit of the teal. If I touch this on very lightly, I won't pull up the color in behind it because I'm definitely not able to stay in these little lines. I think that's enough of that. I think I want to come over in here and pick some color up. In fact, I'd like a little more of that teal. Ooh. That teal's been wet for a long time. Man, I picked up a clump of it because I didn't look before I dipped. You know how important it is to look before you dip. I think I like this color better than that one. Right here. And that comes from just having leftovers of all this stuff in here, and then you can kind of do stuff with that. You know, you don't have to mix something fresh every time. I don't think I really want any whites left in this. As soon as I say that, I'll change my mind. Yeah, this kind of works for me right here. So I'm beginning to pick up little bits more of the red on my brush as I do this, and the color is changing. And I'm okay with that. A little more of that on these. It's just variations in gray, I would say. So the colors changed considerably. I don't know what I want to do with this. I don't want to leave whites in there. I think I might even pick up my pen and do a few black shadows in this. I would like that to be a little more interesting here. I'm going to come back on top of some of these with a little more something. I thought I would like just the red there, but I don't think I want the red everywhere. Let's just do a little bit of something like that. You know, I really liked it better when it was PBO. Well, I'll have to go back and get my pen out. But I thought this spot right here. Now, where's my tape? Can't find my tape. Okay, hold up here. You know, I'm really liking the look of this thing. If I did a few more of these, I might get good at this. It's kind of fun, because you're really playing. You just, especially this background, you start to playing abstractly. And I don't know if some of you know that, but I like some abstraction. So I am laying this tape in because I would like a little bit more glow up here. Now, this is very, very dry now. Yeah, I am recording. Have to double check. I'll be double checking that forever now in the future. Okay, so I just want to take a swipe or two across here. I've even got a splatter in there where I wish I didn't have it. That's all I want, is just a little bit more glow. Yeah, it's kind of an uneven glow, but I'll live with that. Oh, there, I got this wet under there. Okay, see, that just gave it a little more something. You know, I'm just tempted to lighten up. In fact, if I took some of that color and daubed it over, well, let's just use this. We'll use this and we'll use some of that. If I just sponged a little bit of that color in over the rest of this to mute it up just a little bit more and unevenly, because that's what I want. Thing is, I like the brightness of that turquoise in there. So I have a plan. I think I have a plan. Okay, I'm liking this, but I wanted a few brighter pops of turquoise, of teal. But I have a plan here. I've got to dry this first. Okay, I didn't realize how many little white spots we had till I dried it. I really don't want those white spots in here. I'll just take some of my dark. Okay. By dark, I mean this mixture right here. Some of those are going to just be darker than normal. Well, this could go on all day. So that little bit of right there needs some gold. And I'm just going to patch it. I'm not trying to match what's underneath. Just enough that it won't stand out. Now, there's probably a few more places to patch. Let's just take our pen. Remember I was saying that I thought some of these areas could be darker. I don't know that that was ever there, but it is there now because I felt like it. So some of these areas that were black when we started out have been kind of covered over, and we could make them a little bit stronger just by going back over them if we want to. You know, I like some of them being, having that watercolor haze over them. But I thought that some of these little areas in here could get a little bit of black accent. We don't know what's in this, you know, what this shape is. I think I got a smiley face in there. He's grinning really big. You could also add some shadows on the lower parts of some of these if you wanted. I would just say pretty much randomly, whatever floats your boat, do it to it, you know. If an area is too light or too fat, you know, you can trim it up a bit. If it doesn't show up enough, you could put a little bit of a shadow under it to make it stand out more. Just however you feel. I thought some areas like up in here where maybe it was a little more lost than I wanted it to be, oops, that I could come back add a little bit of stuff to that. I can't even see what that was there at one point. You don't want every part to be really well defined. That's part of the beauty of this. It's supposed to have some lost edges. But you could give it some areas a little more definition if you thought they needed it. Like that, and then, let's take some just plain, pure, cobalt teal, the tip of my brush, and let's give a few places in here some pops of brighter pops of teal. You decide where. Made this gate latch kind of broken up so the background color would come through. Because I thought that would be a good thing. But it had a little teal to it. So I'm putting this is actually thick. This is thick paint the way it would come out of the tube. If I put on some of the darker areas, it won't be as bright as it is out over the lighter ones, because it's not just totally opaque. Tell you what, let's just put a spot in the tiara. I don't know if that's a tiara. I just made that up. Okay. So, this is a finished thing, more or less. You know, you might have ideas of things you want to do to it, like, oh, you know, I wouldn't mind having just a touch of red in here. Just remember, if you put thin paint over the thick paint, you've got to be really gentle because otherwise it might come up. On the other hand, if you put thicker paint or relatively thick paint on top, you know, we need a little bit of the darker color in here. That's less likely to do damage. But you don't want to pull that bottom paint up if you can help it. And you can always stamp like that. That's a good way to distribute some uneven color. Oh, that's perfect there. I wish you could see it dry, but I'm not going to take time. Oh, I guess I am. Okay, so I'm going to call this the finished piece. But, you know, there's so many things you could do with it. And I think, okay, I just went over, let me explain this. When I went on top of these areas that had white paint in them, I was very wet and very gentle so that I didn't pull up the white into the color. I added, and could have added better, what, here, these little bits of shadow in some places under the, you know, under the peeling paint or peeling plaster or whatever's, how many layers are on here is beyond me. You could also, I could tighten those up just a little bit. I didn't want my shadow on my peeling paint to be even. It's different thicknesses in different places, and it's different different bits of value in different places too. There. Yeah, that did a nice thing there too. This could use a little more shadow over in here. You know, I could play with the color a little bit more. Things could be done, but I think that this makes the point.